Welcome everyone to a Khan Academy tutorial on Wes Explains Best. Today we're doing right equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. For many students, this is a very tough concept, so I'm going to try to break it down into a few easier steps. Maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for you. Now, for this problem is actually fairly simple, and if I were to draw it out for you, you'll see that it's not bad, but I'm going to show you a way that appears a little bit more complicated, but it works for every situation, okay? So I know this might seem like a long explanation for a problem that's not that difficult, but I just want to show you that it's really not that bad, okay? So here we have the line y equals -7. Y equals -7. It's a horizontal line because if we were to write this into slope-intercept form, it would look like that, where the slope is 0 and the y-intercept is -7. So if we want to write an equation of a line that is parallel to y equals -7 and that passes to the point 7, 5, I'll talk you through how we would do that. So 7, 5 is up here. We'll go ahead and label that point 7, 5. Okay. Now, how do we find a parallel line? So the first thing we got to understand about parallel lines is that they have the same slope as the other line that it's parallel to. So in this case, we need to identify the slope. So it's 0, okay? So our equation is going to be y equals 0x, okay? At least that. But now we need to figure out what the y-intercept is, okay? So there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to show you one way, and then I'm going to show you my preferred way. One way is once we have y equals 0x, we're going to say we don't know the y-intercept, so we're going to put plus b. Okay, because this is going to be the equation of our parallel line. Okay, what do we do from here? Well, we have a point that we want this line to go through. We want it to go through that point. So that point has an x value of 7 and a y value of 5. So what do we do with that information? Well, if we want this line to go through this point, then we need to input those x and y values into this equation to find out what our y-intercept is. And that's something that you can do. So we can say 5 equals 0 times 7 plus our y-intercept, which we're looking for. Okay. Once we do this, we just solve for b. So we get 5 equals 0 plus b, 5 equals b. Once we do that, what did I write? Or b equals b. Okay. Once we do that, we are essentially done with our equation. We just need to plug b into our original equation again, and we're done. So we're going to take this, and we're going to plug this in here, and then we rewrite our equation, which is y equals 0x plus 5, which reduces or simplifies to y equals 5. So that's what our equation is going to be, and that makes sense that it's y equals 5 because it's going to have, it needs the same slope, but it needs to go through the point where the y value is 5, so it's going to be y equals 5. Another way to do this problem, and allow me to erase this, I apologize, but I just think it's going to be good for us to see. Another way to do that is using point-slope form. Point-slope form makes this so much easier because it works for every situation. When you're given a point, and then you just need to find your slope for a parallel line, okay? So point-slope form, what is it? Well, it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I know that seems complicated at first, but it's really not. x1 and y1 are simply the point that the line goes through. In this case, we have that point. It is 7, 5. So it would be like this. 7, 5. That's our x1, that's our y1, because we are told it goes through that point. So x1 and y1 are 7 and 5, respectively. Now, our slope, we still maintain the same. We want it to be parallel to this original line that we said here, y equals -7. So we know that m needs to be equal to 0. So m equals 0. That's our slope. And now from there, we just plug that in and we simplify. Okay? So we do y, and this is the part that people mess up. It needs to be minus 5. So y minus 5, that's our y1. Okay? And then we do equals, and we write 0 times x minus, what's our y1? It's minus 7. Oops, blue. And then we simplify from here. So we have y minus 5 equals 0, 0 minus 0, y minus 5 equals 0, add 5, and we get y equals 5. Okay, so we get the same thing. This way, in my opinion, is easier because it works for a wider variety of problems. A lot of my students in the past struggle when they have to plug in x and y into slope-intercept form. And my experience has been that they just find point slope a little bit easier. But suit yourself. I'm going to show point slope from now on to show you how easy it is, but you can use whatever form you want. So y, where's my equal sign, equals 5. Check it out. Here we go, next question. Okay, write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 3x minus 2 that passes the point negative 7, 5. Okay. Now, this is complicated if you want to use the other way, but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to label this x1 and y1. I'm going to get out my point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I have that ready, keeping in mind that we're not going to plug in, the only thing we're going to plug in is x1 and y1. We'll leave x and y the same, and we're going to figure out our slope. Now this time, we're given the equation. Oops, let me write it in a different color. We're given the equation right here, y equals 3x minus 2. But now, here's our slope. We know the slope equals 3. But now we want to find something that is perpendicular. So we need to understand what perpendicular slopes are like. Okay, so perpendicular slopes are opposite, just give them space, reciprocals. Okay, so opposite reciprocals. I put boxes here because we're going to check it off. It's kind of cool. Anyway, so we have opposite reciprocals are slopes. So if we have the number 3, okay, and we want to make this an opposite reciprocal, what do? Anytime it's an integer and it's not in fraction form, I like to put it over 1 just so we get an indication that we can make this into an opposite reciprocal slope. Okay, it's a little bit easier in my opinion. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make it opposite. So right now it's positive. This is a positive fraction, so we want to make it negative. So we're going to make this negative. So now it's opposite. Check. Reciprocals. So now we want to make sure that it's a reciprocal slope. How do we do that? Well, a reciprocal slope means that we flip this. Okay, so we flip that part. We put the numerator in the denominator and the denominator in the numerator. So instead of 3 over 1, it's going to become 1 over 3. So that's my second step. So now I have my new slope, which is my slope of my perpendicular line is going to be negative 1 over 3. Now I have all the pieces of information I need. Okay, I write y minus, and I already have my y1. That's the first thing I did, 5, equals, I already have my slope. I just found that to be negative 1 over 3. Okay, and then I need to put my x minus x1. X minus, and then my x1 is negative 9. Negative 9. Okay, now the thing I'm not sure about is I'm not sure if Khan Academy wants it in point slope form or not. I usually accept it in point slope form in my own class, but I'm guessing Khan Academy wants it in slope intercept form, so we'll need to simplify from here. Okay, so let me just get some space here. We already figured out the slope is negative 1 over 3. Okay, so let me just erase this. That's your erasing sound. Okay. Now, how do I do this? Well, what I need to do here is I need to distribute this negative 1/3 to both these terms. Well, probably I should do first is add that in first. So let me do that. I'm going to switch colors to be all purples just so it's easier. Y minus 5 equals negative 1/3. And now I do negative 9, which becomes x plus 9. Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding. Now I'm going to distribute, so I get negative 1/3 x minus 9 times negative 1/3 is going to be negative 3. Okay, 9 divided by 3 is 3. It's negative. Y minus 5. The last step is I need to add 5 to both sides. So let's get this color. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. I get y, it's by itself now, negative 1/3 x. It's not a like term with the 5. We only add it here, which is plus 2. So I'm guessing it wants us to put it into slope-intercept form, but technically this is also correct. This is in point slope form, which is another valid way to express an equation. Okay, this is slope intercept. I'm guessing Khan Academy wants it in slope intercept form, so go ahead and convert it by getting the y by itself, which it really isn't that bad in my opinion. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Okay, so I got to go over here. Y equals, I need a fraction. Oh, I should probably put negative out in front. Negative 1/3. Okay, I need to go over here now. X plus 2. Double check that. Plus 2. Okay, check it. Okay, that's what I wanted. Good. Write the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 9, and that passes the point 3, negative 8. This one's fairly simple. Again, we have this equation here. The slope is 0x plus 9. And we need it to go through x1 and y1. I'm going to go back to my my form here, which is point slope form. I'm just make that green because that's what we've been doing. M times x minus and then x1. And again, x1 and y1 just represent the given point. So now we just plug in. It's as simple as that. We have y minus y1, we said is negative 8. Okay, make sure you put it in parentheses like that. Our slope we determined is 0 because the x disappeared, which means it got multiplied by 0. So we have x and then minus and then 3. Don't forget, it's always minus with point slope form, but if we have subtracting a negative, it becomes positive after that. So we have y plus 8 equals, and then 0 times this is just going to be 0. So we have y equals negative 8. That makes sense. It's a horizontal line that goes through negative 8. So our line needs to be y equals negative 8. Y equals negative 8. Check it. All right, last one. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 7 over 5x plus 6 and passes to the point 2, negative 6. Okay, I'm going to try to do this one quick just so you can see that it can be done quickly, especially in point slope form. So I have my x1, y1 first. I'm going to identify my slope. My slope is 7 over 5. So if I want to find a perpendicular slope, first I need to make it negative. Okay, so opposite. And then I need to make it the reciprocal, so 5 over 7. So that is the negative reciprocal, so that's going to be perpendicular. Next up, I'm going to get my equation, y minus y, y1, I already labeled as negative 6, so I subtract a negative 6, equals my slope, which is negative 5 over 7, and then I have it times x minus 2. Okay, this is going to get a little messy, I think. We're going to have, let me switch to green, I suppose, y plus 6 equals negative 5 over 7, x minus 2. Okay, I'm going to distribute here. Okay, this is going to be kind of annoying. I'm just double checking my answers to make sure x minus 2, y plus 6, negative 5 over 7. Yeah, this is just a tough one that we're going to have to do. We're going to have to add fractions, which is, I'm guessing you guys are going to like. But I mean, it's the truth of the matter. Y plus 6 equals negative 5 over 7x. And now we have to multiply this times the fraction. If you want, put it over 1, top times top. That gives us positive 10. Bottom times bottom, 7. Okay, now we have to subtract 6 from both sides. So we have y equals negative 5 over 7x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 6 into a fraction with 7 in the denominator. So I need to multiply by 7 over 7 to give me, so it doesn't change the value, and I get 42 over 7. That's the same thing as 6. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So I subtract 10 minus 42 over 7, and I get negative 32 over 7. So minus 32 over 7. Okay, so now I just need to write this out. Y equals, we got a couple fractions here, really making it easy for us. It's not. Okay, so y equals, oops, I got xy accidentally. Y equals, and then we have negative 5 over 7, so negative fraction 5 over 7. Okay, x. Then we have minus 32 minus fraction 32/7. I just want to double check it. Just taking a second look. Always a good idea to do that. I don't see anything wrong with it. +10. Okay, we're going to check it. Hopefully it works out. And it did. So kind of a complicated one. This isn't the easiest concept. You might need to watch this a few times to get the hang of it. But hopefully you'll be hearing that sound. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.